Hello, everyone, and welcome to Florida Data Science Academy. I'll be your instructor, Dr. Dylan Sinnickson. In today's lecture, we're going to be going over the Ark Invest Roku valuation model. So if you go onto Ark Invest GitHub site, they have a variety of different models that you can download. Today, I've downloaded the Roku valuation model, and I'm just going to be walking you through how Ark Invest values Roku stock price. So we can see we're going to move to this Roku valuation tab. This is probably going to be the most important tab in this Excel spreadsheet. So let's focus on these four different case scenarios. As you can see, we have a manual case, we have a base case, a bear case, and a bull case. So in the manual case, you'll see that all of the different parameters that Ark has used to value Roku stock price are in red text. So you can actually change these values if you believe that they haven't done a great job of parameterizing their model. For example, if you wanted to change the global percent of global households that have broadband, or if you want to change the percent of Roku active accounts, their different growth rates, you can change these different parameter estimates to create a scenario for Roku stock price that's personalized to your own intuition. But today we're just going to be working with Ark Invest's own scenario. So we have the base case, the bear case, and the bull case. So how do we move through these different scenarios? Obviously, you can see that these different variables are given different parameter estimates. So how do we actually change these values? So what we're going to do is focus on this column H. This is where we can click on cell H3, and we can actually toggle through the four different scenarios. So if you do download this model and create your own manual estimates, that'll be case 0. But today we're just going to be working through cases 1, 2, and 3. So let's start off with our base case. So if I click on case 1, we have all of the different model valuations in our base case. That's going to be our average case. So, for example, we're starting in the year 2021. This is when Ark has built this model, and then we're estimating out to the year 2026. So, for example, if we look on row 16, this is where we're going to get our actual stock price. So, in the base case that Ark has created, they're predicting a Roku stock price of $605. So compare that to our initial starting scenario, which is at $89. They're estimating a CAGR, which is going to stand for a compound annual growth rate of 53%, which would be a very high annual growth rate for Roku's stock price. So we can actually look at how is Roku creating revenue. So, for example, we can look at their overall platform revenue, how they're generating money. So we have the third-party video advertising revenue. We have the first-party video advertising revenue. Those are our two biggest ones. And then we also have the content distribution revenue, which is our third most important revenue stream. So if we move down in this spreadsheet, we can see that we have our third-party advertising dollars. That's where we're getting this large number of, this is going to be in each value in here is going to stand for millions. So that's going to be $13,000 million generated through their platform revenue, where most of that revenue is coming from third-party video advertising. Then we have our first-party video advertising, and so on. So we can look at this third-party AVOD. What does AVOD stand for? Well, there's a lot of different acronyms in this spreadsheet that I think are important to cover some of them. So if I move to the table of contents, let's just briefly go over some of the acronyms that Ark is using. So, for example, we see that CTV stands for connected TV. So that's going to be things like Roku and Amazon Fire TVs. We have OTT, which stands for over the top. That's going to be basically streaming services. AVOD stands for advertising-based video on demand. So I think the classic example of that would be YouTube, where you're not generally paying a subscription fee, but you're paying through the watching of advertisements and so on. So I think those are going to be probably the three most important acronyms when you're working through this model. So if we look at our third-party AVOD, we can change, again, some of the parameter estimates. So for example, we can work with the, let's see if I scroll through here, we can change the total ad minutes per hour. So how many advertising minutes are you watching? We can change the percent of daily hours streamed, and we can change video ad sell-through rates. And Ark has already change these values through their base, bear, and bull cases, but you can also change them if you decide to create a manual, some new manual estimates that you think are more appropriate. So that'll be the third-party advertising revenue. And then we also have the first-party. That's going to be for the Roku channel. Roku has their own streaming service channel, so that they also generate revenue through there. And that is another important revenue stream for them. And then you can work through a couple other sections of this spreadsheet if you think that would be appropriate. But let's just focus on moving through these different base, bear, and bull cases to see how Ark is actually valuating Roku stock price. So again, we've already worked through the base case where they're predicting a 53% compound annual growth rate for Roku. Moving from an initial start price of $89 all the way to $605 in the year 2026. And then we can actually look at this bear case, and you can see that in the bear case, we're almost seeing a very minimal increase in Roku stock price starting from $89, and then they're predicting a stock price of $100 in the year 2026. So we can see that a lot of these different parameters, general revenue streams are not experiencing the growth that was reminiscent of the base case. And then we can also look through our bull case. So this is going to be the best case scenario for Roku's stock price. And in this scenario, we're seeing really high growth rates. So in the best case scenario for Roku's stock price, Ark is predicting almost $1,500 per share, starting from an initial stock price of $89 per share, which would be an 88% compound annual growth rate, which would be really significant. Pretty phenomenal growth rates. And again, that's primarily going to be generated from their third-party video advertising revenue, but also the advertising revenue that's coming from the Roku channel. So just as a disclaimer, Florida Data Science Academy, as well as myself, are not financial advisors, and this is not investment advice, and invest at your own risk. And thank you so much for your time, and stay tuned for more Florida Data Science Academy videos. Thanks.